But once you start getting into much longer lenses, this is a Christine Reynolds photograph. Christine teaches DPA classes in Tampa. And if you look down the bottom here, she was using a 300 millimeter lens with a 2 times extension tube. Now, this is a little tube that goes between the camera and the lens and increases the focal length. There is a drop in aperture, so there's you can't use it in low light, but oftentimes you don't really need to. Now, with that the extension factor, she ends up shooting a 600 millimeter. And I was very impressed in her notes that she gave me. She also shot this from a boat. So she's using this very, very long lens, and the boat's moving a little bit. Very, very great shot of the eagle. And I seem to remember she said she came back and set it up at sunrise and that sort of thing. So it was planned. In her notes, she described that a lot of taking wildlife is being in the right place at the right time and being prepared. We've got some samples coming up that will get more into that. Photo by Steve Leinberg. Steve is a student of Hinda Schumann, and Hinda teaches DPA classes in Philadelphia. Again, very long lens, 500 millimeter with a 1.4 extension tube. Apply the math, ends up a 700 millimeter. Very, very long. Now, some of these lenses, I can't even put it on the screen. I mean, they're, some of these lenses are literally 2-3 feet long, very heavy, very specialized. They're for wildlife or in some cases sports, that sort of thing. Very expensive. So in some cases, you're better off with like a smaller sensor camera. You need less money. You need to spend less money to get a long lens. So if wildlife is your thing, that's why a lot of sports photographers actually use this one particular camera, which has a smaller sensor. They get a bit of more range on their lenses, that sort of thing. Another photo by Christine Reynolds. I believe she told me this was a piano bird, or also called a snake bird, and obviously because of the markings. Same lens, 500 millimeter with a 1.4 extender equals 700 millimeters. Very, very long. You're able to get in there. You know, if you've ever been in a boat or canoe or something and you're trying to get closer to animals, once you get to a certain range, I mean, I remember being in a boat in the coastal area, north coastal area of Australia, and trying to see some, they have saltwater crocodiles there. And we're getting closer, and we see a sandbar way off in the distance. As we get closer, we just thought it's a log. But of course, we got a little bit closer, the log's gone. We couldn't even get close enough to identify it as a crocodile, but sure enough, it was. It was like a 20-foot crocodile. But unless you have a very, very long lens, you can't even see those, let alone photograph them. Great shot by Wolfgang Kahler. Wolfgang teaches DPA classes in Seattle, also leads his own workshops. I believe he said he's going back to Antarctica very soon. And just a very simple, beautiful construction of the shot. The sweeping line of the penguin moving in, very kind of protective in some respects of the penguins. Baby penguins are called chicks, I think. Maybe Wolfgang can write in and tell me. Here we got a great shot by Russ Burden. Again, Russ teaches DPA classes in Denver. Very long lens again, 435 millimeter. Russ was able to get in close with that lens and photograph the small birds with their gaping mouths and what I assume is a grasshopper there. And a very similar kind of shot from a student, Oliver Leverett. He's a student of Michael Hart. Michael teaches DPA classes out of Houston. Same gaping mouths. Not sure if it's the male or female. I guess that's the female bird there, feeding the young chick. Here we got a very nice shot by Nikhil Ball. Nikhil teaches the DPA classes in D.C. And what I liked about this photo was just all the negative space. There's just tons of space, very little detail. There's nothing in the photo except the bird and this horizon. You've still got like some cloud and structure of snow and that sort of thing, but it's very minimalist. It's a very beautiful shot. You can see the bird sort of tucking his beak in there, trying to stay warm. I just love this shot, and very often, I mean, so a lot of the shots, a lot of people when they're trying to get wildlife photographs, they just try and get in as tight as they can, which is great if all you're interested in is like a close-up shot of a lion or something. But sometimes it's better to give your photographs a little room to breathe, a little space around, and then you can start playing around with composition. Instead of just having a photo of a bird this tight, Nikhil's given us all kinds of space around it, which makes it more of an environment. It's not just a photo of a bird, it's a photograph of a bird in an environment. I mean, there's nothing there, but it's still more interesting than just a shot of a bird. This, too, for the same reason. I love the background. You can see it's trees in the background. You can see the trunks and that sort of thing in the trees. This is a photo from Stan Schroeder. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. He's a student of Bob Blanken. Bob teaches DPA classes in Washington, D.C. Again, very long lens, 400 millimeter. He's just caught this bird in flight against this beautiful, amazing background. It's out of focus enough, so it's not distracting, but it gives you this beautiful texture, layered look. If this bird was just against a blue sky or a gray sky, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting. So there's a lot of nice things going on in this photo. Excuse me. Photo by Bob Carlson. Oh, I apologize. I think Bob, if I'm not mistaken, Bob teaches DPA classes in New Jersey. Maybe somebody can correct me on that. I forgot to write that in. But he's one of the DPA instructors. And again, a relatively long lens, 300 millimeter. Beautiful shot of a swan. And he's given himself a little bit of space around to capture the beautiful reflection. You got this layered ripples in the water. Very nice shot. And here we've got another student shot. Julia Spring, a student of Russ Burden, who, as I mentioned, teaches classes in Denver. And this is a shot up in Alaska. Big, huge, bright red salmon caught in the bear's mouth. And the exposure's kind of great. You've got white water, rippling water. This is shot at a 640th of a second. So there's a little bit of space for blur and on a shutter speed like that. You've got some dripping water, but it's fast enough to also freeze some of the drops of water and that sort of thing, which make it quite beautiful. These water running off the salmon. Quite literally, the bear just pulled it out of the water. It's not carrying it around. It just grabbed it just then. So she's really nailed the capture. Great shot from Wolfgang Kaller. As I've mentioned, Wolfgang teaches DPA classes in Seattle. And what I loved about this was all the layers, the repeated pattern of the zebras. You got so many of them in a line, and then they're going against the. You've got the lines coming in on an angle here of their backs, and then in contrast to the vertical lines on the animals themselves. Quite beautiful. And very simple, and not a lot of color in it. It's obviously zebras are pretty much black and white, or brown and white, and the watering hole is a little murky, so it comes out as almost like a black and white photograph with a little bit of color in it. Kind of looks maybe a little nostalgic in some respects. This could be shot a number of years ago or shot recently. It's very hard to tell. Now I've got a little section here on animal portrait photography. Everybody, I can hear some people in the background like, portraits only of a person, that sort of thing. I did a little research today, and the origin of the word portrait comes from 1560 to 1570. A drawing or image, etc., and the use of the French word portraire, to portray. And a number of dictionaries I checked, it didn't have to be a person. I was surprised myself. It was, I always thought that a portrait was primarily, well, it is primarily of people, but it can be extended to animals, that sort of thing.